Why are Syrian security forces and the military, and this has been the testimony of many people in some of those cities, why are they shooting at demonstrators and in some cases killing them? Why is that crackdown happening in Syria right now?
There is no crackdown. There is a crackdown from these military groups against the government and against civilians.
So who's doing the killing? Who's doing the killing?
The killing was initiated and is still going on by these extremist groups.
Who are they?
They are extremist groups, extremist religious groups, groups that are financed from outside Syria, and groups that do not want to achieve reform in Syria.
Are they Syrians financed with outside money?
I cannot, I'm not a security. I don't know who is financing them.
What we've been able to see, both from evidence collected from people who fled to Turkey and other places, is that some of these demonstrators were clearly shot, and they were shot by people with the intent to kill them. And they died. And that's at least 1,300 people.
Believe me, this is a big lie. I think when you speak about the refugees to Turkey, this is a big lie.
Why is it a big lie?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Do you know how many Iraqi refugees we host in Syria?
Yeah, more than 1 million.
Yes, that's correct. Then how can we, suffer a refugee problem with regard to Syrians? These violent groups, these extremist groups, have driven these people from Syria by force to go to Turkey.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned the refugees who fled to Turkey. Now, Jisr al-Shuhur, we know more than 100, maybe 120 among the security forces were killed.
They were massacred.
What happened? Was there a split there? There were reports that some of the security forces refused to take part in the crackdown operation.
Hala, this is inhuman to put it this way. There were 3 police security stations in Jisr al-Shuhur. These security stations were surrounded by these groups, the extremist groups, the armed groups, for 3 days. There was no split, there was no division. The security, in fact, the government was besieged in Jisr al-Shuhur.
You speak of foreign interference. Now, one of the things that's been reported is that, and the U.S. says it has evidence of this, is that Iran is playing a role inside of Syria to help Syrian security with controlling these protests. Is that true or not?
It is absolutely crazy to think this way because of 2 things. The first one, the United States claiming this have to prove it.
They say they have evidence.
Let them tell the evidence. What's wrong with that? I mean, if they have an evidence, let them come forward and say this is the evidence. Secondly, in Syria, we don't need any help, neither from Iran nor from any other country.
The foreign minister himself, Walid Muallim, said, I'm imagining now a world without the entire continent of Europe. Hillary Clinton, the U.S. Secretary of State, has issued condemnations saying the Syrian government is using force to crack down on its people. So is Syria's relationship now damaged to the point of no return with Europe and the U.S.?
I don't think so, unless Europe does not want to know the reality, unless Europe is biased to the point where they want to support those extremist groups, military groups, armed groups, criminals, at the expense of the wishes of the entire Syrian population. If they believe that this kind of pressure will change the political positions of Syria vis-a-vis the Arab-Israeli conflict, or the way we deal with Europe on equal footing on different issues, then they are very wrong.